الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
So brothers and sisters in Islam, we always like to start by saying Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, and praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for allowing us to live for another Jummah. This day is a day of Eid, the day when the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said the Malaika will stand on each and every single door, writing down a list of each and every single name of each and every single person who enters in his name, until the call of prayer is performed, and then that list is taken to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on that note, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those ones on that list, inshaAllah.
Ameen ya Rabb.
My brothers in Islam, I've chosen a topic called Act Like a Muslim, and subhanAllah, I feel this is a very valid topic with the condition of the Muslims in today's world. When you give someone a microphone, it's very easy. He can get up, he can talk, he can preach, he can quote, he can read Quran, refer to a hadith. This is the easy part. But the hard part is when something goes wrong. As a Muslim, if a brother owes me money, then I make sure I put it on Facebook, I tell everybody about him, I cause fitna on him, I destroy him, I tell everybody not to trust him. And sometimes we add a bit of spices and herbs to the story because I'm running with my emotion and I want to make sure everybody knows how bad this person is. Or if a brother or sister get divorced, subhanAllah, you go to her side of the family and everybody's talking about him and all his family and how bad they are. And then you go to his side of the family and they're doing the same. Talking about him, how he was bad, with his shortcomings, financially, he wasn't a husband, he didn't fear Allah, and the list goes from here to the moon. Not an atom of a good word is praised on either side. Or now you hear, subhanAllah, about all the underworld. You know, whether it's drug dealing or any sort of illegal transactions happening in today's world amongst the Muslims. As soon as something goes wrong, life becomes so cheap. We're standing over each other. Then we're threatening each other. And worst case scenario, for the best of my understanding, down here recently, we even killed each other. Why is it we love Allah, but the minute something goes wrong in our life, we don't want to follow His system? Why does Shaitan trick us to believe that when something goes wrong in my life, that is my justification to not follow the system of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah? You know, we all say we love Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We all love him. If I asked everybody in this room to put your hand up if you love Rasulullah, there's not a hand in this room that won't go up. But if you love someone, will you not follow his actions? In this short time, let's just take a quick look, just a quick look, of when he was tested and how did he handle the situation. You know, we all know the revelation came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on or around the age of 40, and then after that, he was told to preach in Quraysh, which we know now as Mecca, and then from there, people started following his ways. And then subhanAllah, he was instantly tested. Whenever the tribe of Quraysh heard of anybody that followed his ways, they punished him. They embarrassed him. They dragged him behind horses. They put hot coal on him. They harmed his family. They took his wealth. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam did not retaliate. If that wasn't enough test, then he lost his uncle. He still said Alhamdulillah and didn't retaliate. Then after that, he lost the love of his life, Khadijah. He still said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, Alhamdulillah. He didn't retaliate. And he never questioned why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting him through these trials and tribulations. He didn't go harm anyone, he didn't pick anyone, he didn't accuse anyone, he didn't look for excuses why it was happening. He never lost his faith only got stronger. After all this happened, if that wasn't enough, he decides to travel to where? To the next big city. So in those days, the two major cities in Saudi Arabia were known as Quraysh and Taif. So he takes one of his freed slaves, because we all know the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of his beautiful qualities is he encouraged everybody that he knew to free the slaves. Buy them and free them. So he takes one of his freed slaves with him, and he loved this one, that in a hadith it even goes to the level of saying he treated him like his own son. So for argument's sake, we'll say he took his adopted son with him and he travelled to Taif to give da'wah. He travels for roughly 4 days. He didn't have no entourage. He didn't have a limousine. He didn't have no, we get a Hajj. SubhanAllah, the first thing we ask the Shaykh for is a 5-star. Are the buses air conditioned? Do we have Wi-Fi? Are the tents air conditioned? Do we have en-suites? And all this list goes on just so I can feel safe to go perform something that's mandatory on me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ عَلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. He doesn't say check the air conditioning and the Wi-Fi. So he travels for 4 days, roughly 100 kilometers, up the hill in the hot sun. And for the ones that have traveled to Mecca or Medina, you know, it's very hot. Not once did he decide to turn back, not once did he complain, not once did he look at his adopted son, you know, his freed slave and go, this is hardship. He kept moving. And then they get to Taif. When they get to Taif, he goes up to the chief. And the chief of Taif had a reputation to be more harsh than the chief of Quraysh. So imagine what he was facing. We all have read the Sirah and we all understand the trials and tribulations the Prophet of Allah went with the chiefs of Quraysh. So now imagine the chief of Taif. So he gets there and he goes to speak to the chief, and every day, this is the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He gets told, come back. We're too busy. We'll make you another time. Yeah? Ignoring him, disrespecting him, not acknowledging him. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was not acknowledged by the chief of Taif. Till eventually, he gets a chance to speak to them. The chief of Taif was so ignorant, he didn't even talk to him. And then his 3 sons, one says, couldn't Allah chosen a better person than you to choose as a prophet? The second one says, you're a liar. And the third one says, I don't even have time to listen to your nonsense. Not once did he retaliate. My brothers and sisters in Islam, let's ponder on that for 1 minute. Imagine you're the chosen one by Allah, and you've traveled up a mountain for 100 kilometers in the hot sun in leather sandals, and you get rejected like this. He didn't retaliate. He didn't swear. He didn't threaten. He didn't scream. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't even give him that eyes that we give each other when we don't like what another person's listening or talking. Brother, he never gave up. On or around about 10 days, he kept preaching to anybody that would listen to him in Taif. The chief didn't like this. So what does he do? In one hadith, it says he orders all the hoodlums to line up on the trail, and then he orders the Prophet of Allah ﷺ to leave immediately. The Prophet ﷺ doesn't complain, doesn't retaliate, doesn't threaten, doesn't say, call the police, I'm not leaving, this is a free country. He grabs his belongings, and with his adab, with his akhlaq, he begins to leave Taif. And what's he got? On his right and his left, the hoodlums, the gangsters, and so forth, all lined up for roughly 5 kilometers. One hadith said they were sitting and waiting. I've heard another hadith they were standing up and waiting, and they all had their sticks, stones, and rocks. Ponder with me for 1 minute to what happens to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam next. In an authentic hadith, it says that every time he raised his foot to walk forward, they belted him with rocks. Wallahi, every time I visualize this, I say, it's not going to affect me. But how can you not love Rasulullah and this not affect you? Every time he lowered his foot, they belted him with rocks and sticks and spat on him and called him names. To the level where his freed slave, his adopted son, leans over to cover him and he says, you're about to kill Rasulullah. And he's trying to protect him. And Rasulullah doesn't scream or yell. He moves him out of the way so he doesn't get harmed with him. Look at the akhlaq. And they keep belting him. Not once did he look at any of them or say stop, or yell, or scream, or fight back. He kept walking. It is documented that they hit him so much for those 5 kilometers for roughly an hour that the bottom of his foot was stuck to his leather sandal with his own blood. Our Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. And he still didn't retaliate, my brothers and sisters. kept walking. He finishes with them, he finds a shady spot, and he sits down. And when he sits down, listen to what he says. Listen to the wisdom. Listen to the akhlaq. Listen to the adab of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, "Oh Allah, only to you I complain of my weakness. And everything I do is for your sake. Forgive me for my weakness." And listen to this, brothers. Listen to this. No, he makes the dua for the ones that just punished him. Yeah? And he goes, "And forgive my nation for what they don't know." Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar wa lillahi alhamd. He makes a dua for the ones that just hurt him and rejected him, for Allah to have mercy on them. At this very second, Jibreel alayhi salatu wassalam descends from the heaven and he says, "Ya Rasulullah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends an angel with me with the power to annihilate both mountains on either side of Ta'if and annihilate everybody in Ta'if. If that was you or I, without hesitation, our pride would come into this. And let's not fool ourselves. Before we even finished, we would have said, bring it, do it, hurt them. But our Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, he acted like a proper Muslim. And this is why this talk is called Act Like a Muslim. The Prophet of Allah said, no. Maybe some of these people or their offsprings, with the permission of Allah, will accept Islam. He refused for any of them to be punished just in case. With the permission of Allah, some of them or their offsprings will embrace Islam. Now we know, as a result of that, Ta'if was one of the most righteous, most beautiful villages in Saudi with Islam because of his character and his akhlaq. It is also documented that who was watching all this? A tribe of jinn. And when they seen his akhlaq and his adab and the way he carried himself through this test, the whole tribe of jinn embraced Islam. This is the true act of a Muslim. We don't act like a Muslim only when things are going well. Rather, we should act like a Muslim more when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us. Astaghfirullah. Innahu ghafurur rahim. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. My brothers in Islam, please forgive me. Wallahi, sometimes I speak from my heart. I'm very passionate. Because the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, you'll never enter Jannah until you're a believer. And to be a believer, you must love for your brother what you love for yourself. When I speak to myself before I speak to you. Why? Because the closest is to my mouth and mine. I need this lesson before you guys. My brothers, we live in the best country called Australia. This country allows us to preach. This country allows us to grow our beards and dress the way we dress, and our women to dress the way they dress. But what we forget is we have a duty in this country. Wallahi, we have a duty. You don't have to be a sheikh, or you don't have to be a hafiz in the Quran, or a alim to be a da'i. A da'i is anyone that says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. One must ask me how. It's simple. Start in your own home, my brothers and sisters. As a husband, treat your wife the way the Prophet of Allah treated his wives. In many ahadith, we heard that the Prophet ﷺ had the whole wealth of the world under his feet, but he chose to have one cup in his home. And when they asked his wives why, they said not only would he sit with us and eat, but he would drink out of the same cup. This is acting like a Muslim. For the wives, Protect your husband's wealth and protect your sitra. And when your husband is at work, understand that it is your role to lead by example in front of your children, so your household, when they grow up and they get married, they can also become da'is of Islam just through their action. And for children that are not married, your first piece of da'wah after your ibadah to Allah is your mother and father. Act like a Muslim. Don't go give your father a bit of money, that's not acting like a Muslim. Respect your father, even when he's wrong. If he's talking about something that you work in, and he's probably got no experience, but he's an elderly, and you've gone and finished his trade, don't assume that you're smarter than him. And even if he's telling you that this is a hippopotamus, tell him it is. Because you're not doing it because you're right or he's right. You're doing it for the sake of Allah. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, when you do for the sake of Allah and Allah accepts, you will be under his shade on the day when there's no shade. This is the day when he reminds you in Surah Al-Fatiha, every time you pray, he says, Malik Yawmiddin. He says, I am the king of that day, and I will be the judge, So do for my sake, and my malaika are watching. And one action you do acting as a Muslim could be your ticket to Jannah. And the last one, my brothers, and forgive me for holding these up. It is our neighbors. Not just neighbor next door. The shopping center, out in public, when we leave the masajid. Act like a Muslim. Brothers, anyone can go behind this microphone. Anyone. Look at me. Wallahi, I am nothing. I am nothing. I'm nothing. Everybody here is better than me. But I have a passion. And the passion is to demonstrate the true acts of a Muslim. Am I perfect? Far from it. But look how many ahadith we're reading. For example, Riyadh al-Salihin. You read so many people came to Islam. Why? Not because of what he preached, but rather his action. The Prophet of Allah ﷺ set us a fine example of how to act like a Muslim. And it is called the Sunnah. Please, my brothers, please, my sisters, I'm begging you. All of us are sinners, and all of us will continue to make mistakes. But it doesn't prevent you from acting like a Muslim. Shaitan, one of his biggest tricks is he'll tell you, khalas, you make mistakes, you can repent later and act like a Muslim. Now, because you're a sinner, you don't need to act like a Muslim. Because then you're a hypocrite. Wallahi, I take an oath by Allah, this is one of the biggest tricks of Shaitan. By you acting like a Muslim, you're giving da'wah to yourself. As a wise man said to me once, he goes to me, Shaf, I said, yes brother. He goes, fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. Meaning what, my brothers and sisters in Islam? If you start praying, and every whisper in your head says to you, you're not perfect, or don't help that Aussie with their shopping. For example. And you go to a shopping centre and you see an elderly Aussie and she's giving you a lift stare in the shopping centre, but then you go to the car park and she's struggling to carry her shopping. I'm not Muslim, but she just gave you a lift stare and she might have called your wife a terrorist in IGA or whatever shopping centre you have in Melbourne. Is it not important to act like a Muslim and let your action make her ponder when she gets home? Go over there. Smile, because it's sunnah. You automatically earn a good deed just for smiling. Acting like a Muslim. Help her carry her shopping. Introduce yourself. Maybe introduce your wife. Then when she goes home and something comes on the TV, her brain now's got something to think about. Maybe that's not true. Because I just seen something with my eyes that contradicts what's shown me on TV. Your act could make them ponder. I'll end it with this. Many people travel for months to meet Rasulullah in Medina. They had trouble finding out who he was. And when asked why, They said, because when we got there, he was right in front of us, but we couldn't tell because he sat with everyone, spoke with everyone, and acted like everyone. He never treated himself any more higher than anyone of mankind. That's a true act of a Muslim. Please, my brothers and please, my sisters, when you leave here today, renew your intentions. Brothers, can everybody move forward, please? Tabarakallah, there's many brothers outside that would like to come in. Let's all share in the reward and allow more brothers to come and sit with us, inshaAllah. Barakallahu feekum. Wallahi, I'm begging you. Wallahi, I'm begging you. Renew your intentions today and understand we are all ambassadors of Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Repent today. I'm not saying repent and grow a beard and wear what I'm wearing, because that's made in China. Anyone can wear it. I mean repent with your actions of acting like a Muslim, because habit becomes lifestyle. So when you're doing it for others, then naturally it's going to become your akhlaq, your personality. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما كثيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وبارك على محمد وآل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, to forgive us for our shortcomings. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, to guide us to what's best. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful and the most forgiving, to allow us to be used for His deen. Amen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, to give us the wisdom and the akhlaq to look after our wives and our children and our neighbors and the non-Muslims like a true Muslim. Amen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rain His curse on the oppressors of Islam. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our Jumu'ah, inshaAllah. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ.